or if she feels comfortable to talk, you can ask questions to both of us. Um, Adriana has finished her PhD on linguistic studies, and I have too, 1 year and a half ago. And now she's about to start her postdoctorate research with Tony, probably. And we are working together nowadays in this new baby research we have here, and we call it the discourse of uncertainty and the quality of the new coronavirus representations in a corpus in English language. Again, we would like to thank so much our study group that we call JELC. Stephen is one of the members, and he's here, was helping us yesterday prepare for the presentation because we were so anxious. So thank you again. What made Adriana and I start this research was the scenario we are all seeing every day in our televisions, social medias, mobile phones, with our families. We are not sure how is it happening in the location where you guys are, but here in Brazil, especially for us, it has paralyzed our life, our daily basis. So we thought it would be important to look at the words, new words that have arisen since the virus took place in the globe, and we realized that we were about to research some words from BYU again, from Mark Davis, not only using the noun corpus, but also the other corpus that he has, which is called coronavirus. So we started listing a sample of words, not so many words, so we could find some sort of representation in these words. So the first ones were virus, vaccine, COVID-19, and pandemic. Also pandemic. I'm not sure. There is another word. Also, we stated our reflections again on stubs because we believe that this thought about crystallizing ideas and filtering them is what makes our possibility to grasp new profiles possible and understand in this case what are the disease groups and health groups. In our perspective, since we started the research, it seems like we have an evaluation between hope and denial. A group that is denying what is happening and the group that is hoping for the best. We found this parallel of possible profiles in our early expectations for these representations. Then we started with these three questions, which is how is the word virus associated with a disease and how is it represented in a discourse? The second one, what does it reveal about the historical moment in the field of study of language? We are looking at the present at this moment, and we are trying to foresee something for the future, but we are not looking back. We thought about looking back at words. For example, in the BYU, we could look at words from 1800 to 2008, but we have decided to use the noun corpus and the coronavirus corpus. Also, when we started making this new research, we thought about the representations of immigrants, because when we analyzed the trigrams, I'm not sure, 3 words to the left and another 3 words to the right, we found some information revealing that there is some to analyze about immigrants. So we brought this theory too. Some more perspectives we used was on Moscovich, on social representations, to exploit some phenomena on science, myth, religion, and so far. And also, we are basing a lot of our readings on Sinclair to think about the collection of languages, the pieces of languages we can find in the texts in the word list. And our early methodology has been based on these simple steps. We used BYU noun corpus in the beginning. Then we listed words. First, we looked at verbs, then nouns and adjectives, 3 words to the left, 3 words to the right. We normed the total counts, made a pre-analysis of possible representations according to our expectations, and then we made some interpretation of the data. Then, after using the noun corpus, we have applied the same method to the other corpus, which is called coronavirus corpus. It has started since January from last year. And in our findings, we used the same steps. Also, Adriana and I, our objective was to look at 50 lines of register for each term, for each of the 4 words we made out of a list. And we are trying to build a semantic field around these 50 lines. And our official research questions in the end of the day were these 4. What is the assessment established on those words placed according to the representations regarding coronavirus? Number 2, what are the descriptions used based on collocations placed to the left and collocations to the right? Number 3, the instances of occurrences placed in this analysis. And number 4, the typical terms of the pandemic used in these publications, these releases we could find on BYU website. Okay, so about the first question about the assessment, we have here in the left the source, the collocate, vaccine, pandemic, pandemia sometimes, and COVID. And we have classified whether there was an assessment or not based on these collocates. The next one, what are the markers, the discourse markers and descriptions on these collocates to the right or to the left? In this case here in the sentence, there is an adjective with a negative evaluation, the word nasty or poorly, but mainly nasty. The next question, what are the instances of occurrences? We brought a sample here for you guys to analyze, to see. And the typical pandemic terms used, and we are trying to call it new standards, but as we mentioned before, this is a new research. The corpus is new, so everything is new for us, even what is happening. And we are so interested in listening to your opinion, suggestions, because we are looking forward to improving the research by enriching data, enriching with word lists, and these are only the early findings. As I mentioned, we found, for example, adjectives that occurred in accordance with the terms. For example, for vaccine, we found important, mistake, or performed, which is very general. But as for COVID, we found the words trouble, dead, and positive. And as I said, we found a representation in a dual situation, in a duality of a scenario. I am not sure if I'm being clear, but as I said, the description of the present that we can see is really a group of people hoping for the best to happen, and another group of people or publications or media vehicles of communication denying a serious disease. Um, Another piece of result we found were these terms, for example, severe, significant, adaptive for pandemic, or failed, educational, and deadly for pandemic too. Adriana and I, as we put together the two corpus, noun corpus information and the coronavirus information, when we put it all together, we plan to build a better group of lists and group of analysis and apply it to, again, to sentiment analysis method in as a next step for this research. And the representations that we are expecting to find are based on, as I said, representation of immigrants, representation of health and illness, and in general, a picture of the present. We want to take a photograph of what is happening in the state of mind of society nowadays, uh, something having to do with their mental health. So it is a new research for us, but we are positive that we are going to find interesting information. So these are our main references we can share with you if you are interested. And that's it. Thank you so much. And that's it.
Thanks, Bárbara, and thanks, Adriana. So this is a work in progress, right? So now we can all give them some feedback of things that they could improve or other types of analysis that they could conduct.
Yes.
So maybe I missed it. I was a little confused about where you were seeing the denial part. You said there's like these two profiles, kind of, the denial and the hope. And I was just like a little confused about where you were seeing that in those terms. So do you mind clarifying a little bit?
Yeah, we are still looking at data because every day we try to run new data. But for example, to the left, when we see that there are positive adjectives around serious words as pandemic or virus, associating the word with, for example, a simple disease or something easy to be solved, then in our opinion, it is not as serious as it should be for a group of people, a group of people who make opinions and then they publish it, and another group of people who are publishing reports about what is happening. So one of the things we want to understand in the future, it is complicated because it is in progress now, is to see if these news are real or not. Are they only opinions about these journalists and these people publishing, or are they real data that is happening about the pandemic? I don't know if you understood what I said, but sometimes it seems for us that some information are not so reliable as it should be. That's why we wanted to analyze.
Could I add something there, Barbara?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, I think I don't know, Jen, where are you based, Jen?
We can't
I don't know
hear.
what country.
In Flagstaff. Jen is in Flagstaff.
Can you hear me? That's in Flagstaff too. Ah, okay, okay. No, but I think, and this is something I think Barbara and Adriana, maybe just to add to what to Jen's question, maybe you could analyze not just 3 words to the right or to the left, but actually longer stretches of text to see exactly how the narrative is built, so that you could actually really conduct better sentiment analysis of this idea of denial. Because I guess, again, I think since we are in the middle of this hurricane, where we are in Brazil, and we see this kind of, we're bombarded by this kind of media right now. I get to see people talk about regarding what's happening in Brazil in foreign press and what is published here locally. We do have a bit of I think a biased view that they're trying to do denial, but it's hard to really pinpoint it sometimes because they use a lot of linguistic devices to not to be, let's say, to make it kind of a distance. They distance themselves. They don't really say that they're denying it, but they present something in such a simplistic manner that in the end, they're denying the same thing. So they work with irony. They work with a lot of linguistic devices that at first, when you really take a quick look at it, you don't really think, well, they're not denying it, they're stating a fact. And they present medical evidence, which is not always backed up. So yeah. I think, and again, this could, a suggestion I think Barbara and Adriana would be to look at, larger stretches of the text to see how they actually build this narrative, not just 3 words to the right, 3 words to the left, but how this word is represented and reproduced in several occurrences in the same text, for example, because that might reveal a lot about how they produce this idea of denial.
Yeah, that's wonderful. We even thought about how and when were them fake news or real news. So as it is already in the corpus, it is true because it's published, but it's a lot to think about.
If I can add something to Stephen's about how the narrative is constructed, something that struck me as you guys were talking is that it might be interesting to look at the tense of the sentences that you guys are looking at, because just based on intuition, I think that one might use past tense if they were trying to deny the profundity of the pandemic, as in this is something that's already happened and we're past it, versus something that we're in. So maybe someone who's maybe like maybe looking at it from a different point of view, they're going to use tense in order to, as a linguistic device, like Stephen said. Is it Stephen or Stefan? Sorry, I don't want to mispronounce your name.
It's Stefan.
Stefan? Okay, I'm so sorry, Stefan. Like he was saying, I think that looking at tense could be a good way to, or like one of the things that you could look at. And then I had a question as well. So you were talking about the BYU corpus and then the other corpus that you were looking at as well. What registers are contained in those corpora?
The noun corpus is more general, but the coronavirus corpus is all about news from the virus. I mean, not information about any virus, but coronavirus. So you will see these 2 words together. But Adriana and I, we are trying to gather these data we found on noun corpus and in this new corpus that Mark David has released, to compare and understand what happens in a positive way or not. So we are in the middle of this process.
So if we have no further questions or comments for Bárbara and Adriana, I'd like to thank you both for presenting. And now we're going to move on to our next presentation. So remember, you're going to have 15 minutes to present and then 10 minutes for questions related to your project. And the next one is Stefan.